Good morning, Brian. My name is Sarah Green.
Welcome to our programme, Sarah. What's your query today?
Well, I've always admired your programme because it allows ordinary citizens to air our views and share them.
Thank you. So, what would you like to comment on?
I'm speaking on behalf of a group of neighbours living in a tower block in the East End of Manchester, between two busy street markets. Naturally, we suffer from traffic, noise, dirt and petrol fumes.
Is that your complaint, Sarah?
No, Brian, not yet. I need to add that we have an open green space with shady trees behind us, and these trees provide us with a quiet, pleasant place where we enjoy our leisure hours. We're mostly pensioners, and there were very few children on the estate.
So, what's wrong with that, Sarah?
Well, our local council recently proposed to make use of this site as a temporary play centre for about 100 children.
Have you done anything about it?
Yes, we've protested against this plan in different ways. We have sent emails, letters, even spoken on the phone, but the council have never paid attention to us. What's worse, they have already started uprooting trees and grass.
Would you say there's some kind of alternative solution to this problem?
There's a disused school and playground within 300 metres. It could serve their purpose just as well.
I'd advise you to try and make a personal appointment with a member of the local council. That would give you the chance to be heard face to face. Why don't you contact Councillor John Edwards? I believe he's the right person to talk to. You can book an appointment at the council offices. He's used to considering everyday problems and usually comes up with practical solutions.
I'll do that, Brian. Thank you very much for your advice.
We have arrived at the city of Arcaba in the western part of the country. This is your free day in our excursion, but if you follow the instructions on the map I've just given out, you'll be able to sightsee the city on your own during the day. I'll pick you up at this spot again in 6 hours, that is at 6 p.m. Please try to be punctual, as we need to head off to Sustain to spend the night there. And remember, we'll have dinner together on the way. Now take a look at the map. I'll give you a short description of the most important places that you shouldn't miss. Ready? In the centre of the city is the National Congress, from where Independence Avenue goes straight to the railway station, at the northernmost point of the city. West of the National Congress is St Paul's Park, rectangular in shape and extending almost to the limits of St James's Circus, a circular area where you'll find colourful antique shops and cafes. St James's Circus is overlooked by a row of modern buildings belonging to the Army running alongside it on the east. From the National Congress, a straight, narrow road branches off to the left. It reaches the Modern Art Museum just inside the city boundary. The Modern Art Museum presents a most extensive display of works of art, from architecture and design, prints and illustrated books, to film and media. As additional information, it's good to know that a range of hills surrounds the coast in the broadest part of the country, in a rough semicircle about 30 kilometres away from the sea. These hills provide hiking in the summer and skiing in winter. The hills continue eastwards along the middle of the narrower part of the country, where the beaches attract tourists from all over the world in summer. It is a marvellous capital city, and it's renowned for its gastronomy based on seafood. It's also of historic interest because of the role the city played in the Revolution. Does anybody play golf? Golf courses are one of the most traditional games in the country, and there are several good courses around the city. You don't have time to visit the surrounding vineyards, but if you happen to have the chance, I'd rather you try the local wine. You'll never forget it. Anyway, whether you come to Arcaba in winter or in summer, you'll always find somewhere to enjoy and relax. Have fun and be back on time.
Have you received the information sent to course participants, Joanna?
About what, Mr. Robb?
The written work required for evaluation purposes.
I'm afraid I haven't.
Well, you have the deadline for the submission of these tutor-marked assignments, or TMAs as we call them, in your course guide, which was posted to all students in advance.
I remember I got some information on dates, but I might have to hand in my work a week later. My parents are coming to London for a few days and I intended to join them.
I'm very sorry to have to tell you that it's absolutely imperative to meet requirements at university, Joanna. You should know that if you submit your assignments late, they won't be marked, and this will affect your grade for the course.
I didn't know about that. It's my first year. So I'd better stay and study. No choice.
No choice, Joanna. Now, as to the work itself, you should bear in mind some considerations regarding word length, for example.
I know it should be 2,000 words long.
That's right, but length doesn't necessarily indicate quality. Besides, it's also important to write legibly, so typed work is preferred.
I'm afraid I don't have a computer at home. What can I do?
You can use one of the computers in the department.
OK, thanks. And should I include a bibliography?
Definitely, Joanna. Do include all the sources you have drawn your information from, and acknowledge quotations.
One more question, Mr. Robb. I've heard about students' electronic identification cards in Europe. What are they?
Well, in some universities, students use a personal electronic identification card to record their entrance and exit to the school campus, as well as their entrance to each class.
Wow, that sounds interesting. How does it work?
The information is electronically transmitted to a central station where it's available within seconds or minutes. The system stores the time the students use their cards as they enter and leave school or the classroom.
I guess it will please some parents who are worrying about their kids, even when they're at college.
Yes, parents responded very positively to the introduction of this card in some places, mainly because they can learn about their child's daily activities at school, not to mention the added security and discipline that tracking systems provide. After all, as a society, we use cards for everything these days.
I suppose teachers can also benefit. No more time devoted to roll calls.
Exactly, Joanna. They will no longer be responsible for their students' attendance, so they can spend their time and energy on teaching.
And what is done with all the data collected?
That depends on the school district. It may reduce truancy and it may increase student success in meaningful ways. In all European school districts where the system has been employed, it has been part of a broader, more comprehensive effort to address student attendance, truancy, performance and behaviour issues.
I've only been here for a week and I've learnt so much. There are so many differences between life here and in my country. I sometimes feel at a loss.
Do call me whenever you need me. It's better to learn about some issues in advance before making mistakes you might regret.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robb. You've been very helpful.
Welcome to this information board. This is a national charity community aimed at helping people who suffer from severe anxiety and social phobic disorders. We all know that feelings of anxiety are part of our everyday life. Most of us feel uneasy about snakes or mice. But for phobics, it's not just a question of disliking something. Their fear has grown into such a distress that it affects their normal behaviour. They may have serious symptoms of pain, dizziness and nausea, feel they are short of breath or have shaking limbs. This fear may be triggered by the mere sight of animals, people or things like insects, dentists or utensils. Freud was the first to attempt a systematic description of the development of phobic behaviour. The onset of social phobias generally takes place during adolescence, when social awareness and interaction are evolving. Cultural influences also play a role, as well as genetic factors. In fact, parents of social phobics are more likely to develop major depression. Family difficulties, conflicts, frequent family moves, physical and sexual abuse in childhood are all factors generating phobias. Socio-cultural variations in social phobia are beginning to emerge and receive more attention. Findings suggest that there are similarities in the expression of social phobia across cultures. Phobic conditions are frequently manifested by a reluctance to interact, usually from childhood. Recent studies have proved that there are physiological factors such as conditioned fear responses produced by a disorder in the neural circuitry centred on the amygdala. The amygdala may function as a protective brake, during evaluation of a potential threat, and it has been suggested that social anxiety may involve a deregulation or hyperactivity of the amygdala evaluative process. Family studies have shown high rates of social phobia in offspring or other close relatives of sufferers of social phobia. This suggests that social phobia is somehow familial and possibly specific in its transmission. There are also parenting and family environmental factors. Obsessive controlling and overprotectiveness can play a role in causing phobic conditions. Parent modelling and restricted exposure to social situations have an effect on the development of social phobic parent-child reinforcement of each other's anxiety. Compulsive washing is a phobia-like condition, and so is agoraphobia, the fear of being in public places where there are many other people. Treatments are complicated, and phobics get limited help from the medical establishment. However, there are self-help groups like Phobics Together, in which sufferers learn to ease their anxiety and thus reduce symptoms by sharing experiences. There are also special training programs implemented by psychiatrists and psychologists working together. If you would like to discuss any kind of phobic condition, you can find details of local events and confidential counselling via the website at www.phobicstogether.org.